Rob Portman, he is a Republican from Ohio who serves on the Finance Committee. The goal, we are told, is to get something passed by Thanksgiving. That's November 23rd. Today is October 24th. Is that realistic?
That may be a little ambitious, John, but I think by the end of the year is doable. And it's doable because we've spent years on this. You know, we're long overdue in reforming a broken tax code. We've had over a dozen hearings in the last few years alone in the Finance Committee. And I think there's a consensus now that there's a way to fix this code to bring back more jobs and investment and to help middle-class families be able to get ahead. So I'm excited about it.
You heard Senator Sherrod Brown saying that the president, or perhaps Mitch McConnell, should reach out to Democrats to try to get some votes to help this thing pass. Is that, in your view, important?
Sure, I think it's important, and by the way, it's happening. I mean, I'm talking to Democrats. The president, as you know, had a meeting at the White House last week with members of the Democrat and Republican Finance Committee, and you know, we had a good discussion. I do think that the very issues that Senator Brown talked about, middle-class tax cuts, helping U.S. companies be able to be more competitive, bringing back jobs and investment from overseas, is exactly what this tax code will do. And so I do hope we'll get some Democratic support. There's a difference between Republicans and Democrats on a couple of items that are sort of fundamental. One is, should there be tax cuts in this or not? And then second is what the deficit impact will be. We Republicans believe that if you do the kinds of things we're talking about, you're going to have more economic growth and therefore more revenue, and therefore you will actually be able to help the deficit. And those are just some differences we're going to have to work out. But I hope we do have some Democrat support. It'd be better for the country right now. It would also be better for the longevity of the tax code, for some sustainability in what we do.
Obviously, you represent Ohio, a blue-collar state in large part, a state that voted for President Trump. When Democrats say that this is a giveaway to the wealthy kind of tax plan and that it's all about cutting taxes on corporations, how does that help an Ohio worker?
Well, that's not what it's going to be, but let's say that it is going to reduce taxes on businesses, which it will be. We have to do that to be competitive. And by the way, everybody gets that. When you've got the highest business tax rate in the entire world among all the industrialized countries, and when you have $2.5 to $3 trillion that's locked up overseas that ain't coming back, we got a real problem. And so we do have jobs and investment leaving this country. Companies in Ohio are choosing to become foreign companies. It's crazy. A new study just came out saying that there would be 4,700 more U.S. companies than foreign companies if we had done this kind of tax reform about a decade ago. So we want these jobs back here. So for the people I represent, I was just visiting all five auto plants in Ohio last week and talking to the UAW workers and the other auto workers there about their future. They want to have a competitive tax code because they don't want to fight the foreign competitors with one hand tied behind their back. They get it. They want more investment in jobs in America.
So we mentioned you're going to be one of those lunching with the president. What would you like to hear him say? What's your top issue?
Well, John, this is unusual because we've worked so well together, frankly, with the House and with the White House up to now. And so it's more that we will make a commitment to continue to do that over the next couple of months. Otherwise, it's going to be tough to get this across the line. Again, so far, so good. Compared to health care, I would say, we've been better both on process and substance in working together, bringing everybody in, including Democrats, letting them know what we're doing, being more transparent, having committee hearings, having a committee report or a markup where you have the opportunity to offer amendments. This is going to be an open process, and I look forward to continuing to work closely with the president and the House. We may have some differences. That's okay. Let's vet those differences, but at the end of the day, let's find a way to come together, find common ground, and get this done for the American people.
You're something of a fiscal expert from your time at the Office of Management and Budget. You can assure people that these tax cuts as proposed are going to grow the economy?
Yeah, if you look at the budget that we just passed, it would say that you're allowed to have some tax relief, in other words, some tax cuts, even though on a what's called a static score basis, if you assume nothing's going to change, it would cause a deficit. But if you assume that the changes we're talking about, which are really pro-growth and are going to bring a lot of jobs back and let people be able to get ahead, middle-class families in Ohio and elsewhere, that's going to grow the economy. Every economist will agree with that. Some will differ on how much, but only a 0.4% increase in our economic growth over the next 10 years will fully pay for the kind of tax relief we're talking about. Most economists believe, as I do, that it'll be far more than 0.4% because instead of growing at, less than 2%, which is what the Congressional Budget Office says, we're saying let's grow at 2.3%. Well, that's relatively small amount of economic growth. So I'm confident that we'll do better than that if we can get this tax reform bill passed, because that will help incentivize the economy, bring back jobs, and increase wages, which is a key part of this. And I think we're going to end up having more deficit reduction because of this expanded economy and more revenue coming in. It's time to get it done.
Sounds good to the folks in Ohio, I'm sure. Higher wages, everybody likes that. Senator Rob Portman.
It's needed.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me on.